The Battle of Stalingrad was the most shocking and surprising invasion of Russia in June 1942 by Germany's Sixth Army and its allies, the Italians, the Romanians and Hungarians during World War II. It was the biggest invasion of Russia under the code name Barbarossa. Adolf Hitler invaded Russia despite the non-aggression pact with Russia not to attack each other. After invading the Soviet Union in June, they anticipated defeating the Red Army in 6 weeks. The mighty Sixth Army, with over 2 million soldiers joined by thousands of tanks and the Luftwaffe Air Force. The main goal firstly was to execute a blitzkrieg taking the strategic oilfields of the Caucasus, and secondly to conquer Stalingrad, the main industrial city on the Volga River, and lastly Moscow. But the German Führer was wrong. Previously, Germany relied on the Soviets for raw materials, but while at war with their old partner, supplies were few. Hitler was concerned about a two-front war, especially against the US industrial strength. Germany had way too little. Hitler relied on southern Caucasus oil deposits to win. War was unwinnable without them. The campaign to take the oil resulted in the deadliest fight of WW2, the fight for Stalingrad. The German invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941 consisted of the greatest invasion force ever. A year later, the force extended over a long front line of almost 2,500 kilometers. With the conquest of eastern Ukraine farmlands and Caucasus oilfields, Hitler believed Germany had the resources to continue the war and challenge the US. By restricting resources to his enemies, he aimed to bring down the Soviet war machine the following year and then attend to USA and its allies. The Soviets had over 1 million more troops than the Germans and were constantly building new air and tank armies. The German army in the east had food shortages and difficulties delivering rations to the front, leading to a reliance on the land. However, crop destruction by the Russians and lack of food made this impossible. Despite harsh requisitioning from rural populations, some reports suggest the Sixth Army was forced to eat horses before reaching Stalingrad. General Vasily Chuikov, a veteran of the Winter War between the USSR and Finland, led the 62nd Army in defending Stalingrad after his 9th Army suffered a devastating defeat. He was determined to prevent the Germans from capturing Stalingrad. The civilian population remained during the battle for the city. Whether surviving or dying in their homes, citizens joined the Red Army's battle. The Battle of Stalingrad began with a massive bombardment that left the city in ruins. Destroyed buildings and rubble-strewn streets slowed German advance and favored the Soviet soldiers, who could not be detected and were using the destroyed buildings as a cover. The Germans' first experience with urban combat, Stalingrad, differed from their previous blitzkrieg experience. The Red Army excelled at urban combat. Red Army snipers competed to kill many German soldiers. German troops' fear of sniperism and unwillingness to move during daylight. The Soviet Air Force also started gaining the upper hand due to the majority of its aircraft being diverted to Stalingrad. Worst of all, though, were the logistical challenges which plagued all of Army Group South. Despite full capacity, trains had a significant tailback to reach the city. This resulted in shortages of ammunition, food, fuel, and tank and aircraft parts for the German Sixth Army. Hitler's gamble to win the war backfired as the Sixth Army, with over 1 million men, was surrounded. The German commander Friedrich Paulus requested the Führer to retreat but was instructed to fight till the last man. Although weak, the German commander wished for the Sixth Army to break through the encircling Red Army, but this was not possible. Instead, Hitler organized a Luftwaffe airlift and a relief force under General Erich von Manstein to assist the encircled soldiers. By the end of January 1943, the Sixth Army left the fight due to starvation, freezing, and sickness. More than 100,000 Germans surrendered despite the Führer order to resist till the last man. Upon failing to persist, the Führer anticipated von Paulus' suicide, as no German field marshal had ever been captured alive. But von Paulus declined. Approximately 14,000 Red Army soldiers, equivalent to 2 or 3 divisions, were shot by security police for cowardice or other anti-Soviet behavior. An estimated 40–45,000 civilians were killed in the city during the conflict. It was the bloodiest battle of World War II, and is many times referenced to as the meat grinder war of Stalingrad, known today as Volgograd. Hitler's reputation as a brilliant war strategist was further tarnished domestically. Meanwhile, their Soviet opponents gained strength and exploited the German situation despite significant sacrifices. This campaign was a gamble that Hitler had previously won early in the war but was now losing at enormous cost. Stalingrad was the most horrific battle of the war. More than 900,000 German and Axis allies died and over 1 million Russian soldiers and civilians. Dear viewer, if you enjoyed the video, kindly subscribe to my channel.